How you doing? The good captain here. And this is me working on a teeny tiny cottage I made for my wife. This is actually a couple years back because it takes forever to get through footage and editing. But there's some walls I made from cardboard there. You can see, very fancy. I perhaps used to be in engineering in some fashion. We've reinforced all of the inside corners there with some cardboard gussets. There's me being artful with a knife, I guess. I decided we're going to put in this interior door because I wanted to make it look as realistic as possible, even if it wasn't going to be used for any specific thing. This is just for decor. And now here's 8 million kind of bricks. It shouldn't matter because a brick is just a brick. Yeah, look at that, slow-mo. More fancifulness. Absolutely no reason for this whatsoever, but this is enjoyable. Oh, that's the end of that. Now we are gluing those on with wood glue. Got some Titebond. I think that's actually just Titebond 1, which... oh, it's Titebond 2. Not waterproof, but quite good. So we're putting some along the top there. And I've got a little beam also made of foam. All of this Pinkboard XPS foam. Foamular, as it were. Though I believe they still maintain that trademark. This is me adding more bricks and edges that you can't see very well, and now me custom fitting some pieces for the supporting beams where the render or plaster is going to go in between there. And now we're bricking the old half, as I like to think of it. To think this structure was cobbled together a few different ways over many years. As I often like to do the kind of interesting, just world building in my mind of how would this have been created. Got those arched windows in there. Could have been something fancy. And now we're putting on the roof. I'm doing some rough math to make some outcroppings for the roof there. Dormers, as it were. You don't want to necessarily call them outcroppings, but you can. And there's me cutting cardboard, and now I'm just detailing wood and foam. Must have had enough rough math for the moment. Look at that. Just a simple pencil and you can put a lot of detail. You got wood and stone texture. And the sand is glued in there. That's going to be the render. That's a very easy old school method of making those kind of Tudor style construction. I'm cutting shingles like crazy out of cracker boxes. Shingling the top of the roof. I'm doing the old stone side there first. And going over to the dormer, and we're going to meet these all up more or less like actual shingles are. And then put some right along the top, like that. And there it is sprayed with not really a zenithal highlight, but just some black and enough of a little bit of gray to give you some ideas of how it's going to look with the detail. Cleaning that up. Clean shop is a happy shop. Now I've blacked it thoroughly, I think, with some Mod Podge because I wanted it sturdier, and we're doing a deep purple undercoat. That's going to be the base shadows for everything involved in this. And now that's my second, and I don't know if more or less effective attempt at a slight zenithal highlight. Me trying to cut little parts for the door. We're going to make this an actual hinged moving door. Slow-mo paint, because that's always fun. That's a lovely green. It's one of my favorites. I like to use a lot of greens and purples in there. So I've decided here, so all the more stone or plaster elements, we're going to be using a lot of purple tones in here. The wood is going to be greens, which is surprisingly, somewhat natural. Not this. This is the deep bright stuff underneath. But once it's all done, that looks pretty sweet. Get some tones mixing on there. Look at that, base coating all the wood. There's a lot of wood on this. Some of it's even in frame, which is nice. I like that. There we go, getting some beams sticking out underneath, and I'm putting on a second tone. By the time I wrapped around the building, the first part was dry. I noticed that swinging door there and me having to hold it in place whilst painting. Yeah, that's fun. Some green for the planks up there on that roof. Another little cobbled together, that shed lean-to part. And we're doing some wash on the shingles. So I'm liking how that's looking. And now it looks like we're starting some more dry brushing. Coming around on the stone. Stone and brick. Probably giving my shingles a little time to dry before I put a second tone on those. Just like that. Look at that. Dry brushing the shingles so they pop out like absolute mad. Another coat of dry brush on some stones there. Try to bring those out some more. Another wash on the roof. Just going back and forth. That's what art is. Doing things and doing different things and going back and forth until you're like, oh, this is the thing. Now I'm painting the hinges on the doors. Those are just made of cardboard. Doing a brown wash on the roof now, switching things up. Trying to bring some more natural tones into things a little bit. Not too much. It's still a fantastical building, It's a fantasy setting. But a little bit of realism helps it not look just like a cartoon. I personally like a lot of realism in my builds. There's more slow-mo paint for you. I think it's a little pearlescent. I think I used on the shingles for, shingliness. They kind of have that. Yeah. Shingles got that touch of glint to them. A little bump. Put some on the stone. Yeah, maybe I just figured everything needed to be shinier. I don't remember. I made this probably 2 years ago. Here's me making vines out of twine vines. Unraveling some twine, painting them some different shades of green. Twine and grass, just like that. Now gluing those down to the building. Gonna try to spread them, make them look a little natural, a little interesting. And after we glue them down, then it's time to put flock. All kind of flock. I love flock. No such thing as too much flock. Flock everywhere. This is what makes this look way more like a natural building and not just a cartoon. And now we're sealing everything in with some scenic glue. And it's almost ready to take a nice look at. And there we go. Dried up and looking beautiful. Alright, thanks for hanging out with me and watching me make some stuff. I'll show you some more old stuff real soon. Much love.